read me romance. Read me romance. Read me romance. Read me romance. You could take a look in a book, that's fine. Or you could sit back, relax, and unwind and read me romance. Read me romance.
Hey, lady listeners, welcome back to another week at Read Me Romance. It is Leah. You have just me this week. I know, we're really excited. We're going to get into some bad shit and probably break something I'm not supposed to be completely honest. But no, seriously, this is the holiday season. There is a lot going on. So we are going to make this as easy as possible for you. We are playing an Alexa Riley book. I will not keep you long. I'm just going to give you all the dirty details and then shove you into it. So let me tell you what this book is about. It's called Beastly Deal. And if you're familiar at all with Alexa Riley, we had a series earlier this month. Well, I say this month. I don't even know what month it is. Listen, it's been a day, okay? So this series started, I think, back in September. It's the Fairy Tales Are Forever is the name of the series. The first book in the series is Sleepless Pact, and then Towering Contract and Princely Agreement. Those are the three books in the series. I actually said those backwards, I think. I can't remember. Fuck, it's on the website. Listen, I just work here, okay, guys? But go check it out. There's three books. They're all standalones. You can read them in any order you want. But Sleepless Pact, Towering Contract, Princely Agreement. This one's Beastly Deal. It is fairy tale tropes, and we've just sort of put our own spin on it. Obviously, Beastly Deal, Beauty and the Beast. So I'll read you the book bio for this one. Anabelle Winter wakes up in the hospital with no memory of how she got here, let alone the giant brooding man who claims to be her husband. How can she trust him when her head tells her no, but her body says yes, yes, yes? Damien Shadow made a deal with Anabelle and Anabelle belongs to him. Now that she's lost her memories, it's a race against the clock to claim her before she remembers just what a beast he is. Warning, fairy tales are forever, so grab your pajamas and get ready for the best kind of bedtime story. We've given these classic tales our own sprinkle of love and can't wait for you to roll around in them. So that's what we're going to play for you today. It's Beastly Deal. We love this. We had so much fun writing this series. And make sure you check Alexa Riley's website and check out like Instagram and Facebook. We'll post up if this ebook is going to be available and if there's going to be a bundle and all that kind of good stuff. We're still up in the air on that right now as to when our next releases are. Like I said, there's a lot going on for us at the moment. So we're kind of just getting in what we can by the end of the year. We really appreciate your patience. So thank you for that. Before I forget, up next week is going to be Emma Bray, and that one's going to be a short episode too. It's just going to be me recording that one really quick before, just to let you know, because it's going to play on Christmas. So that'll be super fun. So make sure you check that back. And again, if you are doing our 12 days of giveaways with our lady listeners, I think the last day should be posted today, maybe. I think it goes up today. So make sure you check in our Facebook group, Read Me Romance Headquarters. Join us on the Patreon if you want free weekly audiobooks and ebooks as well. We really appreciate your support. And I think that's everything. So, all right. I don't have Mel here to correct me if I'm wrong. So according to me, I'm right. So yeah, so jump in with us. We're going to play Beastly Deal, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Bye.
This is Beastly Deal by Alexa Riley, read for you by Lori West and Christian Black.
Chapter 1. Anabelle. A small ache throbs in my head, and I reach up to touch where it hurts. When my fingers come in contact with a bandage, I slowly open my eyes. It takes a second for them to adjust, but I have no recognition of the room. Sitting up, I realize I'm in a hospital. A really nice one. It could be a hotel suite if it weren't for the monitors. Why am I here? The harder I try to remember, the more my head starts to pound. Panic rises in my throat and nothing comes to me. Without thinking, I pull the IV out of my arm and get up. My legs almost give when I stand, but I catch myself on the bed railing. A woozy sensation fills me, but it fades away after a few deep breaths. How long have I been asleep? My voice comes out coarse, and I notice a cup with a pitcher of water next to it. Slowly, I walk to it and try to get my bearings. I must have stood up too fast. After I chug a glass of water, my eyes catch the snow fluttering in the moonlight. When I peek out the window once again, I don't recognize anything. Even in the distance, all I can see is a city, but I have no clue which one it is. A soft voice comes from outside of my room, and I pull open the door to see a woman wearing a blue gown exactly like mine. She's talking to an older man, and I see her kiss him on the cheek before he leaves down a long hallway. After he's gone, I step out of my room and try to get her attention. "Excuse me," I call to her. "Are you okay?" she asks, and I just stand there, not sure how to answer that. "I'm Ella," she says, and gives me a soft smile before stepping closer. "Where am I?" "At a hospital." Okay, so I kind of figured that out already. "How long have I been here?" She tilts her head to the side, staring at me for a long moment. She probably thinks I'm crazy, and I might be. Who knows at this point? "Let me get someone for you," Ella says, sounding concerned. That makes two of us. "Anabelle!" A deep voice bellows, making both of us jump. I watch with wide eyes as a huge man at the end of the hallway walks quickly toward both of us. A nurse pops her head out of one of the rooms, but the man's eyes are locked right on me. All I can do is stand there like a deer caught in headlights. Ella steps a little more in front of me and blocks his view while another man comes out of the room that belongs to her. It was where she'd been standing when I walked over. "What the hell is going on?" The man that came out of Ella's room asks while blocking both Ella and me. The two men are about the same height, but the one whose attention is on me somehow seems thicker. Am I Anabelle? I reach up and touch my bandage again. How had I gotten hurt? If the giant beast man hit me, I think it would leave more than whatever this is on my forehead. The bandage is actually small. "Leo, move," Beastman growls, sounding more like a bear than human. I grab the back of Ella's gown, but I have no idea what I expect her to do to stop him. He's seriously pissed off. "What the fuck, Damien?" Okay, so the guys know each other, and Beastman has a name. "Move," Damien orders Leo, the single word leaving no room for debate. "You need to calm down." Leo doesn't give an inch, and I wonder if he values his life. "You're standing between me and what's mine," Damien grits out. Both Ella and Leo turn to glance at me, and I turn around to look behind me too. When I don't see anyone else he could be talking to, I glance back at the man claiming that I belong to him. He's 3 times my size and looks like he's about to break something. "Did you do that to her?" Ella accuses Damien as she points at my head. "She's my wife." "Wife? Did he say I'm his wife?" His eyes stay trained on me while I process his words. They're a bright blue, which is in contrast to the rest of him. There is a darkness that shimmers around his body, and it's like I can almost feel it. "That didn't answer the question, Damien," Leo clips. "Anabelle." Damien softens his voice. "Come here." For half a second, my body begins to move toward him, but Ella cuts in. "She doesn't know her own name." She moves to the side to block me again, and Damien takes a few steps closer. I have to crane my neck all the way back to stare up at him. My mind searches for a memory of him, because how could I forget someone I was married to? Bill. He reaches out to cup my cheek, but I step back before he can make contact. I'm not scared of him, but there's something making me cautious. Damien's whole body goes rigid, and I realize I've made him angry. For some reason, I don't think that's hard to do. Everything is okay, the nurse says as she rushes over. Damien Shadow is responsible for Anabelle's care. His last name is Shadow, which is fitting. Wait, does that mean my last name is Shadow too? Come on, gorgeous. Leo guides a reluctant Ella back into her room. Where is Dr. Moore? Damien's tone is firm and straight to the point. She's on her way up now, the nurse responds quickly. Are you in pain? Damien asks me. Again, his tone is different when he speaks to me. I wouldn't call it gentle, but it's not as harsh. Only when I touch it. I reach up, but Damien grabs my wrist to stop me from making contact. Then don't touch it. Don't tell me what to do. I snip back. The words pop out of my mouth before I have a chance to think about what I'm saying, and it makes the nurse's eyes widen. I want to be sure you don't hurt yourself any more than you already have. Are you saying I did this to myself? Why are you still standing here? Damien asks the nurse. Sorry, sir, she mumbles before hurrying off. You're rude. I pull my arm back, but he doesn't release my wrist. You've told me that a few times. Oh, lovely. I have a husband who's rude to me. Perfect. I'm not rude to you. He turns my hand over in his, and to my shock, he brings it to his mouth and kisses my palm. The second his lips touch my skin, a flash of something comes to mind. It's him and me, standing in the snow with his mouth close to mine. I can almost feel his warm breath against me. It's only a second of a memory, but it makes my knees weak. You're my husband? Why do the words come out like I've been running? Yes. He lets go of my wrist and holds up his hand to show me the gold band on his finger. I feel for my own, but nothing's there, and when I lift my hand to look, I don't see a trace of a ring, not even a small indentation. We'll see about that, I say with a little more conviction as I turn and walk back into my room. I hear him let out a deep sigh and grumble something under his breath. I don't know why, but it makes me smile. Not that I let him see. Sitting up, I realize I'm in a hospital. A really nice one. It could be a hotel suite if it weren't for the monitors. Why am I here? The harder I try to remember, the more my head starts to pound. Panic rises in my throat and nothing comes to me. Without thinking, I pull the IV out of my arm and get up. My legs almost give when I stand, but I catch myself on the bed railing. A woozy sensation fills me, but it fades away after a few deep breaths. How long have I been asleep? My voice comes out coarse, and I notice a cup with a pitcher of water next to it. Slowly, I walk to it and try to get my bearings. I must have stood up too fast. After I chug a glass of water, my eyes catch the snow fluttering in the moonlight. When I peek out the window once again, I don't recognize anything. Even in the distance, all I can see is a city, but I have no clue which one it is. A soft voice comes from outside of my room, and I pull open the door to see a woman wearing a blue gown exactly like mine. She's talking to an older man, and I see her kiss him on the cheek before he leaves down a long hallway. After he's gone, I step out of my room and try to get her attention. Excuse me, I call to her. Are you okay? She asks, and I just stand there, not sure how to answer that. I'm Ella, she says, and gives me a soft smile before stepping closer. Where am I? At a hospital. Okay, so I kind of figured that out already. How long have I been here? She tilts her head to the side, staring at me for a long moment. She probably thinks I'm crazy, and I might be. Who knows at this point? Let me get someone for you, Ella says, sounding concerned. That makes two of us. Anabelle! A deep voice bellows, making both of us jump. I watch with wide eyes as a huge man at the end of the hallway walks quickly toward both of us. A nurse pops her head out of one of the rooms, but the man's eyes are locked right on me. All I can do is stand there like a deer caught in headlights. Ella steps a little more in front of me and blocks his view while another man comes out of the room that belongs to her. It was where she'd been standing when I walked over. What the hell is going on? A man that came out of Ella's room asks while blocking both Ella and me. The two men are about the same height, but the one whose attention is on me somehow seems thicker. Am I Anabelle? I reach up and touch my bandage again. How had I gotten hurt? If the giant beast man hit me, I think it would leave more than whatever this is on my forehead. The bandage is actually small. Leo, move, Beastman growls, sounding more like a bear than human. I grab the back of Ella's gown, but I have no idea what I expect her to do to stop him. He's seriously pissed off. What the fuck, Damien? Okay, so the guys know each other, and Beastman has a name. Move, Damien orders Leo, the single word leaving no room for debate. You need to calm down. Leo doesn't give an inch, and I wonder if he values his life. You're standing between me and what's mine, Damien grits out. Both Ella and Leo turn to glance at me, and I turn around to look behind me too. When I don't see anyone else he could be talking to, I glance back at the man claiming that I belong to him. He's 3 times my size and looks like he's about to break something. Did you do that to her? Ella accuses Damien as she points at my head. She's my wife. Wife? Did he say I'm his wife? His eyes stay trained on me while I process his words. They're a bright blue, which is in contrast to the rest of him. There is a darkness that shimmers around his body, and it's like I can almost feel it. That didn't answer the question, Damien, Leo clips. Anabelle. Damien softens his voice. Come here. For half a second, my body begins to move toward him, but Ella cuts in. She doesn't know her own name. She moves to the side to block me again, and Damien takes a few steps closer. I have to crane my neck all the way back to stare up at him. My mind searches for a memory of him, because how could I forget someone I was married to? Belle. He reaches out to cup my cheek, but I step back before he can make contact. I'm not scared of him, but there's something making me cautious. Damien's whole body goes rigid, and I realize I've made him angry. For some reason, I don't think that's hard to do. Everything is okay, the nurse says as she rushes over. Damien Shadow is responsible for Anabelle's care. His last name is Shadow, which is fitting. Wait, does that mean my last name is Shadow too? Come on, gorgeous. Leo guides a reluctant Ella back into her room. Where is Dr. Moore? Damien's tone is firm and straight to the point. She's on her way up now, the nurse responds quickly. Are you in pain? Damien asks me. Again, his tone is different when he speaks to me. I wouldn't call it gentle, but it's not as harsh. Only when I touch it. I reach up, but Damien grabs my wrist to stop me from making contact.
Then don't touch it.
Don't tell me what to do. I snip back. The words pop out of my mouth before I have a chance to think about what I'm saying, and it makes the nurse's eyes widen.
I want to be sure you don't hurt yourself any more than you already have.
Are you saying I did this to myself?
Why are you still standing here?
Damien asks the nurse. Sorry, sir, she mumbles before hurrying off. You're rude. I pull my arm back, but he doesn't release my wrist.
You've told me that a few times.
Oh, lovely. I have a husband who's rude to me. Perfect.
I'm not rude to you.
He turns my hand over in his, and to my shock, he brings it to his mouth and kisses my palm. The second his lips touch my skin, a flash of something comes to mind. It's him and me, standing in the snow with his mouth close to mine. I can almost feel his warm breath against me. It's only a second of a memory, but it makes my knees weak. You're my husband? Why do the words come out like I've been running?
Yes.
He lets go of my wrist and holds up his hand to show me the gold band on his finger. I feel for my own, but nothing's there, and when I lift my hand to look, I don't see a trace of a ring, not even a small indention. We'll see about that, I say with a little more conviction as I turn and walk back into my room. I hear him let out a deep sigh and grumble something under his breath. I don't know why, but it makes me smile. Not that I let him see.
Chapter 2. Damien. Fuck. This is not how today was supposed to go. I start to follow Belle into her hospital room, but then my phone rings. I want to ignore it, but it could be an update on taking her home, so I get it out of my pocket and check the screen. I can feel my jaw clenching as I answer, but try to remain calm. Shadow. Where's my daughter? Luther Snow demands. She's in my care now, as per our agreement. I lower my voice as I step away from Belle's room so she can't hear me. That wasn't part of the deal. You were supposed to protect her. And I will. So much for keeping calm. My voice becomes a growl as I seethe into the phone. Do you need me to remind you of the reason she's under my protection to begin with? No. His voice breaks, and then I hear him start to cry. She's still my little girl. Yes, but now she's my wife. So think about that the next time you call my phone demanding answers. You gave up your claim on her the night you broke into my home. I didn't have a choice. He sounds weary, but I have no sympathy left for him. There is always a choice. Glancing back at the room, I see Belle go over to the window and watch the snow. And I'll never make the same mistake as you. Without waiting for a response, I hang up the phone and join her by the window. She doesn't look up at me as I stand beside her, but I know she can feel the energy between us. It's been there since the first moment we met, and I felt the pull to her instantly. One look at her, and I knew she was going to be my wife. It was something I'd never experienced before, and it nearly took me to my knees. I can't remember anything, she finally says after a moment of silence. Will you tell me what happened? They said to give you time. I want to pull her against me and claim her mouth, but I can't. Not here. She meets my eyes, and once again, it's like I've been struck in the center of my heart. You're keeping secrets. Before I can answer her, Dr. Moore enters the suite. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Shadow. I'm Dr. Moore. I'm here to go over your results and hopefully answer the questions I'm able to. After she goes over the scans, she tells us that there is a small amount of swelling in the brain due to her head injury, and that's what's causing the lapse in memory. Her recommendation is to take Belle home and let her rest while she recovers. Before Belle can ask any follow-up questions, I'm barking orders to the staff to have her things brought out front and for a wheelchair to be located so we can leave. There's a lot of people running around quickly, and it's enough of a distraction that Belle goes along with it, and I sneak her out of the hospital without another run-in with Ella and Leo Prince. "Is this home?" Bella asks when the driver reaches the gates of the estate. "Yes," I say, but don't elaborate that this is only her second time coming here. "The roses are blooming," she says to herself as she looks out the window at the gardens. "Even in the snow, you can still see how pretty they are." "They're your favorite." I know this because she carries the faint scent on her skin, and when she saw the rose garden for the first time, she brightened like the morning sun. That's why I insisted we get married outside, even though it's the middle of winter. "They are," she agrees and sits back in the seat. Her brow furrows like she's trying to figure out why they're significant, but I don't say anything. Our home appears up ahead, but she's not really paying attention before the car comes to a stop and I get out. After I walk around to the other side of the car, I wave the driver off and open the door for Belle. I hold out my hand to help her exit the car and then begin telling the staff what to do. "Get the bags. Take them to the East Wing and make sure there are fresh linens." "Yes, sir," one of the maids says before running off. "Tell the cook to prepare something to eat. Soup and fresh bread," I order, and another person runs off to make sure it's done. And I thought being rude was reserved for the hospital staff. It's not being rude when it comes to your needs. Reaching down, I pick up Belle so that she's gently cradled in my arms. "I can walk." She tries to wiggle out of my hold, but I shake my head. "Not today. Or any day for that matter, but I keep that to myself." "Why won't you tell me what happened?" she asks, and I feel her watching me as I carry her up the stairs and through the front doors. "The doctor said it would come back to you. For now, it's better to wait." She didn't say it exactly like that, but I'm choosing to believe that's what she implied. There's been a fire lit in the library, and tea and cakes set out next to the couch. After I place Belle on the couch, I grab one of the blankets off the back of it and tuck it around her. I spend a few moments fussing with the table so that it's close enough that she can reach it, and then put extra blankets at her feet. Once I've put a few more logs on the fire, I realize there's nothing left for me to do, so I stay crouched in front of it, poking the flames. "Will you sit with me?" I'm surprised by her question, but I nod before I take a seat on the couch with her and put her feet in my lap. It feels natural, like we've done this 1,000 times instead of it being the first. The gold of my wedding band catches in the light of the fire, and I'm reminded that this was placed on my finger not so long ago. My large hands begin to rub her feet, and she makes the smallest sound of pleasure. A rumble of pride spreads through my chest, and I allow myself to enjoy this moment. "Damien?" The way she says my name makes me want to groan with need. When I look up from what I'm doing, I see she's nervous. "Will you kiss me?" What? This wasn't the question I thought she was going to ask. I think it might help." It comes out like a question, and she flushes with embarrassment. "With my memory. I think kissing my husband would be familiar, right?" "Right," I slowly agree, even though we've never kissed. "Then, will you do it? Will you kiss me?" This time, she says it with a little more confidence. "Belle." Her name falls from my mouth like a prayer, because she has no idea what she's asking for. "Just one kiss." Her voice is a whisper, but I'd hear her call to me even if I was on the other side of the world. "Just one," I echo, and without thinking it through, I brace one hand on the back of the couch and the other on the arm of it behind her. I move over her with my massive body and shield her from everything that isn't me. Just one. I say again, and she nods as she tilts her chin back and her eyelashes flutter closed. Her lips are full and slightly parted as I bend down and claim her mouth.
Chapter 3. Anabelle. When his lips press against mine, a swirl of emotions fills me. Again, my mind flashes to a memory of wearing a white dress as I walk toward Damien. He stares at me like I've created all the sweet snowflakes that fall around us, and I don't notice anyone else but him as I draw closer. The man I've come to know in a few hours can be a jerk, but he wasn't lying when he said he wasn't an asshole to me. Deep inside, I know that to be true, and for some reason, it's endearing. My bossy husband needs me more than anything. I might not remember everything, but those thoughts feel so right in my mind. I've given Damien something no one else could, and I've tamed the beast. Belle. Damien groans against my mouth, pulling me back to this moment. My fingers are tangled in his hair, and I'm on his lap, straddling him. I don't remember us moving at all, but I'm not complaining. There's something about straddling this massive man that makes me feel powerful, like I hold all of him in the palm of my hand. He's my beast. Those 3 words are loud inside my mind as I whimper with need. Don't stop, I beg. When I woke up in the hospital, I felt so alone. This is the first time I don't have that overwhelming sensation. My beast has pushed all those fears away and kept me safe. Now I have a husband that loves me dearly. It feels like an obsession, but maybe it's me remembering him from my past, and my mind is now catching up. I'll never stop, he growls against my lips, and it rumbles through his chest and into mine. I love that sound. I gasp as my nipples tighten and ache. You're a beast, he hums in pleasure as he nips my bottom lip. Is that really what I call you? I smile before my fingers tangle further in his hair. It's becoming harder to let go of him. A few times, he says, and his brows furrow. Does it bother you? This man has saved me, but I've been cruel to him? What kind of wife have I been? Sure, he's grumpy, but I feel guilty for being mean. An image of him smiling down at me flashes through my mind, making my heart flutter. It's not an image I've created. It's a real memory. I don't want to be a beast to you. He buries his face in my neck, and I close my eyes. I might not remember anything, but I know I crave that side of you. His head jerks up. What? His expression is one of confusion, or maybe more like surprise. It might be a bit of both. You're my beast, right? I worry my bottom lip between my teeth while Damien keeps staring at me. Is that wrong? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be mean. I love the beast. Something like a growl comes from him, and he turns me over before pinning me to the chaise beneath us. My legs wrap around him, and it confirms that I'm definitely not scared of my husband, even if he's a giant and everyone else seems to fear him. You love that I'm an asshole. He looms over me, and I cup his face. You're not to me, I remind him. Bossy, but not an asshole. I don't deserve you. His eyes soften, and I swear there's a flash of guilt. He's so hard to read. Damien almost seems as confused as me with his emotions. You must have done something for me to fall in love with you. I give his hair a small tug. Love, He repeats the word. Well, yeah, we're married. We must be in love. When he doesn't return my smile, I can't help but wonder if our marriage isn't a good one. I know I have feelings for him because I can sense them, even if a part of me is trying to fight it. I might not have all my memories, but I push that away and trust my heart.
Who wouldn't love you?
Is my asshole husband being sweet? I tease him and he closes his eyes.
Say it again.
What? Asshole? I tease and I see the corner of his lips twitch.
Call me your husband.
Husband, I say without hesitation. Now kiss me again, I demand, giving him my own order. This time when his mouth comes down on mine, it's not soft and tentative. It's needy and consuming in all the right places. Wrapping my legs around him as tightly as I can, I cling to his giant frame. He really is a beast of a man, and I'm so small compared to him. Every inch of me heats as we deepen the kiss, and I wonder how the two of us fit together. I know we've obviously had sex since he's my husband, but it's hard to imagine how that works with our size difference. When I rock against him, his cock rubs my sex and I moan at the size. Damien grunts when I wiggle my hips, and I can't help but do it again.
You're killing me.
His mouth leaves mine, but he doesn't stop kissing me. He moves his mouth down my cheek and then to my neck. My whole body starts to wake up, and it feels like I'm on fire. I need more of him. Damien, my hips buck, trying to relieve the ache between my thighs.
Do you need me, wife?
Please, I beg, not at all ashamed of asking him for pleasure. His hands move far more quickly than I realize, and before I know it, Damien has me naked. His mouth never leaves my body for long, and I whimper when he seals his lips around my nipple. Damien's fingers pluck at my other nipple, and I don't think there is a question if this is my husband. I might not remember anything, but my husband knows how to work my body. Every part of me is alight with pleasure as his mouth travels farther and farther down my stomach. My legs have no choice but to spread to make room for him until his mouth is hovering over my sex.
Roses,
he says, his warm breath spreading over my wet center.
You always smell of roses.
I try not to be shy as Damien gazes upon my naked body, well, mostly at the apex of my thighs. You would think it's his first time seeing me with the reverence he's showing. This man is good for a girl's ego. No wonder I don't care that he's a jerk to everyone else. He saves all of his sweetness for me.
Chapter 4. Damien. The scent of her makes my mouth water and my cock ache. I wish I could lick her cunt and fuck her at the same time, but I'm not sure I could withstand so much pleasure all at once. Grinding my cock against the chase, I ignore the painful need and settle between her open legs. Her lips are slightly swollen like she's hot with need, and I can see her desire coating every inch. She's so fucking wet I can see it dripping out of her, and I won't be denied a taste. This probably makes me a bastard, but she's willing and eager for me to eat it. Doesn't that make it okay? Maybe she doesn't remember how we got in this situation, or that I basically forced her father into giving her over to me. But that's a small detail in the big picture. The bottom line is that she's my wife. We said I do before she slipped and hit her head. So although she can't remember the reason for the quick wedding, We're married. End of discussion. She's mine, and I'll kill anyone that tries to take her away from me. Look how delicious you are. Leaning forward, I slowly drag my tongue between her lips and then suck on her clit. She squirms and tries to get away, but I keep her pinned to the chaise. No. It's too late now. Damien! She nearly screams as I do it again. Shh, let me have it. I lick her faster and then shove my tongue in her cunt. She's panting louder, and her fingers claw at the small couch. Stop, please. Oh God, Damien. I smile against her pussy because she's begging me to stop while grinding against my face. Wait, slow down. Shit, right there. When I push 2 fingers in her tight little hole, she whimpers but spreads her knees farther apart. I thrust them in and out like I plan on doing with my cock while I try to break her in. She's virgin tight, like I knew she would be. When her father told me she'd never been touched, the animal inside of me wanted to be the first. My mouth is covered in her desire as I suck her clit and then slick my tongue around it. With my fingers in her pussy, I can feel how close she is, and I look up to watch it happen. Her eyes are shut tight as she tenses, and then a beautiful flush spreads over her naked body before she finally lets go. Her tight nipples point up as her back arches off the chaise and she comes. I moan with my own pleasure as I reach between my legs and grab my cock. It only takes 2 strokes before I'm coming at the sight of her lost in pleasure. It spurts all over the chaise and my fist, but it does nothing to ease the ache in my heavy sack. I need to be inside her, and I can't wait any longer. There's a small voice in the back of my mind telling me I should hold back and not take her like this. But the sight of her naked and supple, legs open to take me, is too much of a temptation to ignore. I'm weak when it comes to my beauty, and I have to make her mine. She's limp as I slide my finger from her and take one last lick. She hardly moves as I sit up on my knees and drag her to the edge of the chaise. Her eyes are hooded as she looks up at me while I push my pants down and let my cock jut out hard and full between us. As I grip the base, she moves one of her small hands between her legs, and to my shock, she spreads her pussy lips open for me in invitation. "Make love to me, husband," she says softly, and I begin to shake with barely controlled desire. Cum leaks out the tip in fat drops as I swipe it over her clit and then to her drenched opening. The power she has over me is unreal, and I lose all control when it comes to my bride. This will hurt a little. My voice doesn't sound like my own as I push in just the tip. "Has it been a long time?" She raises her hips encouragingly. "Yes," is all I can say through gritted teeth as the warmth of her cunt kisses the tip of my cock. I become exactly the beast she thinks I am when I pin her hips to the chaise and fuck all the way inside her virgin cunt in one hard thrust. She cries out, but all I can do is toss my head back and roar with primal satisfaction that she's mine now in every way. This sweet little pussy belongs only to me, and the possessive power I feel is staggering. I should go slowly. I should be gentle. But I'm none of those things. My hips pull back, only to surge forward hard and heavy. She whimpers as I thrust, but all I do is heave my heavy body in and out of hers like a rutting animal. I'm beginning to sweat, so our bodies slide together, and when I bend down, I take one of her tight nipples in my mouth. "It's too much," she pants, and I feel her nails scrape down my back. I want to shout for her to mark me so that everyone sees she's mine, but instead, I keep my mouth busy as I move to her other nipple. Please. I'm not even sure she knows what she's begging for at this point. Hold your knees, I demand. Keep them like that. Tilt your hips. It's deep, she whines, but doesn't move as I fuck her harder. You're going to give me a baby, I order, and her eyes snap to mine. I'm going to breed you. Her breath catches, but her eyes never leave me as I drag my length out of her and then push it back in. When you come, it'll be easy for me to do it. I'll just slide my seed right in you and hold you just like this. I grind against her pussy as my cock nudges her cervix. Right there, Anabelle. Damien. Her voice is barely a whisper as I rub her clit, and she starts to climax. True to my word, I keep her still as she clenches around my cock and cries out in pleasure. The orgasm is more powerful this time, and I feel her cunt pulsing over and over. As the ecstasy hits her, her body goes limp, but I keep her in place. Gripping her hips with both hands, I pump my cum into her waiting womb and feel it spread. The corner of my mouth turns up in a grin, and although this might make me the world's biggest bastard, I can't help but think breeding her is a solid plan.
Chapter 5. Anabelle. I jerk awake, taking in the room around me, and it's unlike anything I've ever seen. I'm in a giant bed that feels more like a pillow, with sheets that are soft against my skin. It doesn't take me long to realize I've never seen this bedroom in my life. A dull ache throbs between my thighs, and I pull the blanket back to see I don't have anything on. What the hell is happening? Why am I here? Suddenly, it's like a movie plays through my mind. I got married, but before my husband could kiss me to seal the union, I slipped. He tried to catch me, but I pushed him away. I remember wanting to kiss him so badly, but then the reality of our marriage was overwhelming. When I pulled back, I slipped, and although Damien tried to catch me, I smacked his hands away in anger and sadness. Our marriage wasn't like the one I dreamed of when I was a little girl. It was one I was forced into. I married Damien so my father wouldn't end up in prison. Rubbing my throat, I try to stop the knot from forming there, as yesterday keeps playing through my mind. When I shift my legs, I feel that soreness again, but there's also an ache to have more. Flashes of Damien taking me through the night play in my mind. They should anger me, since he took advantage of me when I forgot who I was. I'd believed he was my husband, and he did nothing to tell me the truth. Along with that, he took my virginity. My treacherous body hums with excitement as I remember everything he did to it. Damien is an asshole, but he never tried to hide that. In fact, from the start, he never hid who he was. Damien made it clear the kind of man he was. But last night, he let me believe that he and I were in some blissful, sweet marriage, while he stole my virginity. All the while, I thought my husband lost his control because his need for me overwhelmed him. He couldn't hold back when he made love, and I let him have everything. Of course, I felt the sharp pain when he entered me, but it quickly faded away into pleasure. Watching Damien make uncontrollable love to me was intoxicating. He couldn't get enough of it. Enough of me. He carried me to his bedroom where he took me again and again. There were even times I shamelessly crawled on top of his body to guide his cock inside of me. The worst part is, I've never felt more loved and cherished than I did last night. A tear slips down my cheek as I realize none of it was real. He only wanted me because he needed an heir. I touch my stomach, thinking that he might very well get what he wants after all. Or I could have a baby girl who will be as naive as I am. That's what got me in this position to begin with. I was always trying to save my father, even at the cost of my own life. No, I refuse to let that happen. I also won't let Damien break me, which he easily could. If he keeps pretending to be the man that rushes to my side with worry and fear, I'll fall for him. He was genuinely terrified at the idea that something was wrong with me. There was no faking that reaction. I peek over my shoulder to see the other side of the bed is empty. I guess he couldn't be bothered to stay with me. I swipe away another tear that escapes because I can't do this. Without another thought of what the fallout could be, I get up from the bed. Damien might have gotten what he wanted last night, but he gave me a taste of what could be between us. I want more than being passed off by my father. The whole time I was trying to save him, I should have been saving myself. Quickly, I find one of Damien's sweaters and a pair of socks, then open a drawer and grab his boxer briefs. The sweater comes to my knees, so it will have to do for now. I push the curtains back to peek out the window, but all I can see is the rose garden. Heavy snow is still falling outside, so walking out of here isn't going to be an option. A pang of sadness fills me as I think about leaving, but I shake it off and remind myself that Damien isn't who I think he is. Who forces someone to marry them? A person in love? No, I snap at myself. That's not possible. Damien can't love me unless he believes in love at first sight. There's no way that Damien Shadow believes in anything like that. I did, though. And for a brief second, I let myself believe I found it. Until Damien struck the deal with my father and made it clear I was merely property and nothing more. I'm done. I stomp out of the bedroom, deciding that I'm not going to hide. I'm not sneaking away, and it's mostly because I'll freeze to death before I make it to the front gate. Instead, I'm going to demand Damien release me. He can't force me to stay here. Can he? I'm sure it's kidnapping or something if he does. Sure, I was a dummy and agreed to marry him, but things have changed.
Anabelle, can I get you anything?
I almost scream, not prepared for someone to be waiting at the end of the hallway. A ride? I ask. I recognize him from yesterday as the person that did all of Damien's bidding. I think he might be a genie because every time Damien would ask for something, it would appear.
I'll have to check with Shadow. He said you were to rest today. I'll alert him you're awake and get your breakfast.
I can leave without asking my husband. I stomp my foot, knowing I'm acting like a child. What is wrong with me? The man gives me a look that says I'm not going anywhere unless Damien allows it. Where's my husband? Why do I keep calling him that? I don't even have a wedding ring. We got married so quickly there was no time to get one. Damien had a simple gold ring but said mine would be here soon and that it needed more time.
He's in his office.
Thank you. I raise my chin, ready for battle. But I should know better. Damien Shadow always gets what he wants. For some reason, he's set on having me, no matter the cost.
Chapter 6. Damien. When Belle bursts through my office door, I'm in the middle of a meeting with several prospective buyers. 2 of them are joining in via video, but the others are here in person because I didn't want to leave my house, for reasons that are currently staring at me and seem to be pissed off. "Clear the room," I say as I keep my eyes locked on my wife. Belle's cheeks flush crimson as the group of people at the conference table get up and file out. I tap the screen next to me, and it ends the video feed. But that's the least of my worries right this moment. "I'm sorry," she says softly when everyone is gone. I wait for Jeffrey, my right hand, to close the doors to my office and engage the lock. "Don't apologize. I'll always welcome your presence." When I reach for her, she pulls her arm away so that I can't make contact, and my heart stops. This is just like our wedding day. "You remember." It's not a question, but she nods anyway, and I see the hurt and betrayal cross her eyes. "How could you?" She crosses her arms over her chest, and it's a protective layer against me. I hate it. How could I? Anger burns alongside my shame, but I can't seem to control my temper. "You're my wife." "Because I had no choice." Belle spits the words back at me, and I shake my head. "There was always a choice," I say calmly, but I see the tears form in her eyes. "Don't blame me that you put yourself on the sacrificial altar to keep your father out of jail." "What was I supposed to do?" There's a whimper on the last word, and this time when I reach for her, she doesn't pull away. She's still angry, but at least she's not fighting my touch. "He broke into my home to take something that's belonged to my family for centuries," I tell her as I reach up and brush the tears away from her cheeks. I was prepared to have him thrown behind bars for the sheer audacity. "The men that hired him to do the job were going to kill him." She sniffs, and I run my hand down her back. I know. There's no right answer for her, but I couldn't allow it to happen. When you came here to save him, I wanted to find another way. I saw the way your heart broke for him. He's your father, but he's not a good man. And he's certainly not good enough for you. "And you think you are?" Her eyes meet mine, and I nod. "No one will ever love you like I do." "How can you say that? How can you say you love me?" The way she turns her cheek ever so slightly against my palm is tender and familiar. It's just like the pull between us that's been there from day one, from the moment our eyes met. Because I know I've never felt anything like this before. It's an uncontrollable need to protect you, to make all your dreams and desires come true. I'm consumed with making you happy and keeping you safe. I bend down and brush my lips against hers. And I'm going to spend my entire life making you feel cherished. "Damien." The gentle need in her voice sends heat straight to my cock. "Say it back," I order, and she looks up at me through her lashes. "What if I don't love you?" A corner of my lips quirks up. "And maybe I should remind you of what you said last night while I was buried in your cunt." Her lips part just before I grab her around the waist and lift her onto the conference table. My possessive hold on her tightens as I pull her ass to the edge and kneel down in front of her. She's only wearing a pair of my boxer briefs under my sweater, but I rid her of them before she can protest. "Lie to me, Belle. Tell me you don't love me while I make you scream my name." I bury my face in her pussy, and she cries out before leaning back on her hands to brace herself. My tongue dives deep, and she rolls her hips, and together we fuck her with my mouth. "Damien," she moans when I lick her clit, and I close my eyes to savor it. My growl gets louder as I suck her clit, and she starts to pant. "Oh, right there. Don't stop. Please." Her fingers pull my hair to the point of pain, but that just means she's close. Just when she's about to fall over, I ease my tongue away from her clit, and she stiffens. She whines and tries to pull my mouth back, but I look up at her between her spread thighs and lick my lips. "I love you," Belle says, and her fingers loosen slightly. "I'm scared, okay? This is crazy, but yes, I love you." "You don't have to be afraid." My hands slide around her hips, and I grip her ass tightly as I put my mouth back on her cunt. As soon as I flick my tongue over her clit, the orgasm hits her hard. "Damien!" My name echoes through my office, and I stand up quickly and undo my pants. "I want you on my cock while you come. I love it when your pussy squeezes me tight." We both groan as I sink every inch of my dick into her wet little sheath and just hold it there. I grind on her pussy and make sure to stretch out her orgasm as long as possible. When she goes limp in my arms, I start to pound, and the sound of me fucking my wife can probably be heard through the halls of the estate. I don't give a shit, because I plan on fucking her on every surface until the end of time. Say it. "I love you, Damien." She places her hands over her head as I drive in and out. "You don't have to be scared of this," I tell her, and she clenches around me. "You and I were meant to be, and there's no separating our love." Reaching under the sweater she's wearing, I push it up so her breasts are bared. I fall on top of her as my mouth latches onto one of her nipples, and I suck it into my mouth. Her cries of pleasure spur me on, and my cock swells. "Open those pretty thighs for me, nice and wide. I'm ready to breed, my beauty." My cock throbs as my seed fills her, and then her orgasm hits. "I'm all yours, beast," she moans. Before she can come down from the high, I reach in my pocket and pull out the ring I've been waiting to give her. I manage to slip it on her finger undetected while she finishes pulsing around my cock. My mouth covers hers, and we kiss like it's the first time, and I start to make love to her all over again. One day, I'll tell her the ring was what her father tried to steal from me. But for now, I've got better things to do with my mouth.
Epilogue. Anabelle. 10 years later. "Doesn't this seem silly?" I ask Ella, and she shakes her head. "I think it's magical." The way she sighs lets me know that she's thinking about her own husband and their wedding day. "Besides, Damien did all of this for you. How could that possibly be silly?" "True," I agree and look out the window at the snow coming down. I guess I never really saw the point of having another wedding since we already had one. "What was it he said? That this time you wouldn't end up in the hospital?" Ella's laughter makes me smile. Something like that. Ella and I have been friends for so long now, but there are still a few tiny details that I never shared with her, like the exact reason I was marrying Damien in the first place. He's been saying for years that we needed to redo our wedding and make it official. It seemed unnecessary since we've literally been legally married for a decade now and we have 5 children. How much more married can we be? I guess I never realized how important it was to him, at least not until last week when I saw our anniversary marked on the calendar. He somehow planned all of this, an entire wedding, without me knowing. And his way of telling me that it was happening was to attach an invitation to the family calendar hanging up in the kitchen. That day, he sent me shopping with Ella and our oldest daughters to get a dress. They made me try on what felt like 100 dresses before they brought a special garment bag from the back. Turns out, Damien planned that little detail too. And of course, it was my favorite dress of all the ones I tried on. He was being sneaky and letting me decide for myself when all along he knew my heart's desire. The pink champagne dress was adorned with lace roses over every inch. The delicate material hugged my curves, with long sleeves and a sweetheart neckline. My daughter said I looked like a princess mermaid, and I decided that's exactly what I wanted. Now that I'm standing here with the dress on and my hair and makeup done, I'm feeling nervous. Maybe it's because I haven't seen Damien yet, or maybe because I'm thinking about the last time I walked down the aisle to him. "Your flowers are over by the door," Ella says as she grabs her small clutch. "I'll see you down front." She air kisses my cheek so she doesn't smudge my makeup before taking one last look at me. "You're breathtaking." When I give her my thanks for all her help today, she leaves the room, and suddenly, I'm alone. Damien said the kids were part of the ceremony, so they'll be at the front with him waiting on me to walk down. Maybe that's another reason I'm nervous. Our lives are more perfect and beautiful than I could have ever envisioned. But of course it's because Damien said it would be so. And it was. True to his word, he's given me everything my heart desires and then some. Every now and then I wonder if it's too perfect. And part of me fears the other shoe will drop. I suppose if I really think about it, that's already happened. Even though I agreed to marry Damien to keep my father out of jail, it didn't save him for long. Soon enough, another debt collector came around, and by then there was nothing I could or would do. I knew at some point he had to reap what he'd sown, and that came in the form of prison. He'd been locked up for almost 10 years now, and my heart breaks that things had to go that way. But, like Damien reminds me, my father made his choices, and I made mine. It's sad he can't be here today, but his decisions have kept us from having a relationship, and him having one with my children. Even in jail, he's managed to commit more crimes, so who knows if he'll ever get out. The best thing my father ever did for me was give me to Damien. My husband has spent years undoing the damage my father did to my heart, and he's also made sure that I never forget how special and important I am to him. Today is a chance to celebrate our love and have the ceremony I dreamed of as a little girl. I didn't know this was something I needed, but my husband did. He's always seen straight to my heart, even when I couldn't. Is Damien Shadow still a surly asshole? Absolutely. But it's never directed at me or our children. Some might say he's softened over the years, but I like to think that he's got more reasons to smile than he did before. Those that think he's losing his edge might do well to remember that the beast still lives just below the surface. There's a soft knock on the door, and it's the wedding planner letting me know it's time. Grabbing my flowers and following her directions, I go to the French doors that lead to the rose garden. It's been snowing all day, but they've placed heaters and canopies around the area to keep it warm and dry. Damien has made extra sure there's no chance of ice this time around. When the music begins to play, the doors in front of me open and I step outside. Our closest friends and family are here with us today, but I don't spare any of them a look. My eyes go to our children first. 3 boys beside Damien and our 2 daughters on my side. They all look so beautiful I start to tear up, but then I remember not to ruin my makeup and take a deep breath. They're all smiles as I begin to walk forward, and then my eyes meet Damien's. Suddenly, I'm transported back 10 years to the first time I was walking toward him in this very spot. In a way, so much has changed, but in more ways, it's still the same. The same butterflies in my stomach, the same nervous energy in my feet, and the same inexplicable pull that lets me know this man is my forever. Before I can reach him, he walks toward me, and it's like he can't stand the distance. When I'm in his arms, every muscle in my body relaxes, and I look up at him and smile. "Finally," he says and wraps me close before his lips connect with mine. This should have been our first wedding kiss, but then maybe our lives wouldn't be the way they are now. Every moment has led me to this one, and I wouldn't change a thing, not even losing my memories and finding my forever along the way.
This has been Beastly Deal by Alexa Riley, read for you by Lori West and Christian Black.
Welcome back, lady listeners. Thank you so much for listening to Beastly Deal. We really appreciate it. I hope you guys are having a great holiday. Yeah, and if you aren't, just try and keep your head above water. It's almost over, okay? We love you guys. All right, so buck your day up. Make sure you're bitch. Don't be a dick. Bye.
Read me romance.